you want to know what it's like to be a British Muslim convert? Well, stay tuned to find out. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Peace and blessings of Allah be upon you all. Welcome back to the channel. So today I'm going to talk about what it's like to be a British Muslim convert and go into some pros and some cons that I've experienced within my own journey. Number one, eternal salvation. You can't really beat that, all right? That's just how it is. Number two, so after you become Muslim, you will tend to find that you become filled with a sense of inner peace, if you will, and a sense of tranquility. You don't stress over the things you used to stress over as much. And in fact, you're pretty chilled out for the most part. And I defy anyone to tell me that that's a bad thing. Number three, so once you become Muslim, you'll tend to be introduced to a lot of new people. You'll obviously meet loads more Muslims. And from that, you obviously therefore make new friends and be exposed to a lot of new cultures. Number four, and this is probably kind of one of the biggest ones for me, is that your life doesn't actually change that much. So a lot of people will seem to think that, oh, now that I'm Muslim, I have to change everything about myself. You really don't. In fact, you can still do most of the things that you used to do. And anything that you may have to change, such as halal food, there are alternatives. You can get halal full English breakfasts. Speaking of food, I just want to say, guys, you guys have not lived until you've tried homemade Turkish kofta. Shout out to Miss Yıldız for hooking that up for me. Elenize sağlık. So, yeah, guys. Now, let's get into the cons. Number one, that once you become Muslim and you tell people that you're Muslim, a lot of Muslims will start to ask you what your revert story is. Now, while this may not be so bad at first, after a few years of this, at least in my opinion, it can get slightly annoying. So you'll eventually learn just to condense your revert story down into a very quick answer, just to kind of get out of it, because otherwise you could be occasionally multiple times a day telling your revert story to people. And if your revert story is somewhat of a long one, that can take up a lot of time of your day that you may not have. But obviously you don't want to be rude and just kind of blow them off. So yeah, that can kind of be a con depending on your point of view. The next one is that when non-Muslims find out that you're Muslim, potentially you could be the first Muslim that they've ever met. So they will then take that opportunity to ask you any question they've ever wanted to ask a Muslim. Now, as you're new, they potentially may ask you questions that you don't know the answers to yet. And that can obviously be a bit awkward. So, but don't worry, those answers to those questions will come in time once you gain more knowledge. It's happened to me, it's happened to almost every other Muslim convert that I've known, and even to several born Muslims that I know. So, yeah, don't worry, once you get your knowledge up, you'll be able to answer any of those questions that at first you may not have known the answers to. The last con I want to get into is that obviously once you become Muslim and you start praying, it can be a bit awkward at first to try and factor in prayers to your daily life, whether that be at home or at work. But again, with time, this will eventually build up to becoming a habit, and you'll get over that initial awkwardness and you'll just do it. You know, you won't even think about it. It will just be something that's done. And so, yeah, you'll be able to get around that again in time. Okay, guys, so now I want to get into the frequently asked questions. Now, these are questions that I've seen other Muslim reverts get asked, or other Muslims get asked, or questions that I've even been asked myself. So yeah, the first one is do I have to take a Muslim name? The answer is no. In fact, most of the Muslim reverts that I know don't have a Muslim name. And if they did take one, they stopped using it fairly quickly. The second part I want to get into feeding off of that is, if I do take a Muslim name, do I have to legally change my name to this Muslim name? No. You don't. Again, most of the people that I know that have taken a Muslim name haven't legally changed their name to whatever their Muslim name is. And let's be honest, that can be kind of a pain, because imagine everything you own that has your name on it, that's legal documents. So, you know, your driver's license, your credit card, your bank statements. Can you imagine having to have all of that changed and then show proof of ID that your name has been changed? Not to mention the lengths you have to go through deed poll to do that. So yeah, guys, luckily you don't have to, because the process, I imagine, could be quite stressful. So yeah, you don't have to worry about it. The next question I get asked a lot is, well, now that I'm Muslim, do I only have to wear thobes? You know, is that all I can wear? No. In fact, for the most part, I don't really wear thobes. I wear them when I go to mosque for Friday prayers because I'm in an Islamic environment, wear some type of what is considered Islamic clothing. So that's why I do it. But for the most part, I dress how you see me dressed here. You know, in a hat, jacket, t-shirt, and obviously I've got jeans on. So yeah, you don't have to suddenly throw out your whole wardrobe just because you've become Muslim. And the last question I get asked a lot is, well, do I have to cut off my friends and family now that I'm Muslim? No. So imagine this was the other way around, that your friend who had just become Muslim stopped talking to you because you're not Muslim. How bad would you feel, and how badly would you think of them? Exactly. So just because you've become Muslim doesn't now mean that you have to disassociate from your friends and family. You can still keep in contact with them. In fact, in Islam, it's quite encouraged that you maintain what's known as kinship ties or family ties. So yeah, don't worry about that part at all. So now let's get into the last part of this video, which is just the general advice. So the first thing is once you've become Muslim, learn how to pray. That's really one of the main parts of Islam. In fact, in Islam, it's said that the thing that separates the believer from the disbeliever is the salah, is the prayer. So yeah, learn how to pray. You can learn this from YouTube. There are many resources out there, you know, on the internet and online for you to learn how to pray. You will also be able to learn this at your local mosque. In fact, many Muslims will probably be very happy to teach you how to pray, including many reverts, as most of us know the struggles that we've gone through in learning, you know, all the different positions and the rituals surrounding the prayer. The second bit of advice I want to give is don't let passion overtake knowledge. Now, I've experienced this myself, embarrassingly, whereas I was full of enthusiasm. I'd just become Muslim, you know, I gained a bit of knowledge and I wanted to spread it to the world. Unfortunately, and I've seen a lot of other reverts do this as well, is that, like I said, the enthusiasm will be there, the knowledge will be somewhere around here. So they'll end up saying things that Islamically may not be that true, or sometimes may be completely incorrect altogether. So yeah, guys, slow and steady wins the race on this one. Just learn at your own pace and only talk about the things that you actually have knowledge on. You know, don't assume that because you've read something that you're then qualified to start giving, you know, fatwas or some type of Islamic legal rulings on something, because unfortunately you're not. The last part that I want to get into here is don't compare yourself to other Muslims, especially not other reverts. Again, I've done this myself. When I first heard about Ali Dawah, we all know who he is for the most part, I'd found out that he'd been Muslim for 2 years by the time he started doing debates at Speaker's Corner. Well, at this point in my life, I'd been Muslim for about 4 years. And then I started to feel bad because I wasn't at that level. In fact, I'm still not, and it's been close to 7 years now. So don't compare yourself to other reverts. Everyone has their own speed at which they do things, at which they learn things. So don't think that just because some other Muslim is at a certain level by a certain point that you also need to be at that level, because you don't. It will happen when it happens. It will happen in its own time. Many people have resources available to them that you may not have. And there are also things that go on behind the scenes that you may never have even considered or known about. So don't worry that if you're not at the level that you think you should be at, because you're probably at the level that you need to be at. You just don't know it yet. So yeah, learn everything as it comes. Take everything as it goes. I can't remember if I said that was the final piece or if this is going to be the final piece, but speaking of knowledge, don't burn yourself out with learning knowledge. A little bit consistently is much better than trying to learn loads of things at once, because again, you'll burn yourself out, you'll become exhausted, and eventually you'll just stop. So yeah, learn little bits as they come, little bits here, little bits there. But for the most part, like I said, just focus on the prayer at first and the rest of it will just come. So yeah, guys, that's all for this one. If there's anything you want to add in the comment section, please let me know. If there's anything you think I've missed, please let me know. But yeah, guys, take care. And until next time, peace.